Welcome to the Blow Your Mindset podcast, where we unravel the extraordinary in the ordinary. In a world filled with jaw-dropping events, societal shifts, workplace dynamics, and domestic drama, we're here to explore the mind-blowing moments that make you go, wait, hold up, what? I'm your host, the Nicole Smith, your emotional intelligence thought leader that encourages you to maximize your emotional intelligence for success, survival, and to be emotionally brilliant. Together, we'll dive deep into the captivating topics that shape our lives and our mindsets. We're here to challenge your perspective, spark your curiosity, and maybe even redefine what you thought you knew. So buckle up. Get ready for a mental journey like no other. Blow Your Mindset podcast. Because the world is full of surprises, and we're here to explore them together. Get ready to have your mind blown. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is your host, Nicole F. Smith, with Blow Your Mindset podcast. You know, I've had some amazing guests, and like I always say, I have dope guests because I know some fantastic people. And my next guest, listen, let me just give an introduction and you will know exactly where I'm coming from. But listen, today's show is going to be interesting. I hope to say we don't step on anybody's toes, but let me just go ahead and jump in and introduce my next guest with an inspiring 18-year tenure at Charlotte's Praise 100.9. And over 26 years in the gospel music industry. Melanie is a beloved voice in the gospel radio, bridging faith, community, and culture through her daily broadcast. She is a trusted authority in the inspirational market, both locally and internationally. Please welcome Melanie Pratt. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
Hey, Nicole. So excited to be here.
Oh,
how you doing?
I'm doing great. I just realized I read your intro and I put you globally. I said internationally.
I heard that.
So,
listen, we do travel, have passport, we'll travel.
Absolutely. So I put you international. So I want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. This is a blessing for me to have you. And I have to tell people how I met you. So with my public relations team that I have, my PR team, he said, hey, I want you to be on Melanie's show. And I said, okay. And here I go. That's gospel, right?
It's church.
I said, it's gospel, right? I was like, okay. He's like, are you comfortable with that? Jay Hill. And he said, are you comfortable with that? I was like, yeah. I said, go back and just make sure that what I say, that my church folks, my church family will be able to pick up what I'm laying down. And I think it was a great show. I don't know what you think.
It was absolutely great.
Absolutely great. So that's wonderful. I want to know, though, with you having 26 years, we're talking about almost 3 decades. Mm-hmm. 3 decades. And
don't tell anybody.
Now listen, girl. I say I have 3 decades of experience. I started when I was 2.
Yes, me too.
Okay, because listen, if you're watching via YouTube, you can see how beautiful and just youthful Melanie looks. You look great, girl. You look great. But I would love people to know your story. But before that, I always ask my guests, this is Blow Your Mindset. So I have to ask, in your industry and the space that you're in, what do you see that's going on right now that just blows your mind?
This is funny because you're going to put me on my soapbox. But
okay, please get up on. Hold on, I'll help you up. Go ahead.
Entertainment in general, and yes, also in the gospel inspiration space is has what I call glitter on it, and that is what people are attracted to. And because there's glitter on it, a lot of times we don't deal with what's underneath. Uh-huh. And so understanding, the show must go on, so to speak. And so, all of us have to perform, whether it's at your bank job or, with your family, put on a happy face sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. To get through the moment. Right. But I am astonished at how much that pervades and persists, and no one deals with what we're dealing with underneath. And so what blows my mind is the number of people, and it really kind of grieves me a little bit,
Hmm.
that in the faith space, that people are putting on a happy face and not ever getting healed.
Mm. And what we spoke about briefly on your radio show was people not healing and dealing.
Yes.
And in my world with emotional intelligence, they're not diving into the emotions and the feelings that they have about anything and everything that's going on. So absolutely, we're not healing. Or as I see, and I see this even in my own family,
Mm-hmm.
we just gonna pray. We're not going to
Yes.
talk about it. We're just going to pray about it and keep it moving. And we have people specifically in the church that are hurting.
Yes. And that's really what it's all about. It's not about bashing church or
Oh no.
negating the power of God or the power of prayer. It is both. And I think
Mm,
that when you're talking faith and healing, or faith and mental health,
mhm.
that it's about integration rather than separation. And that our faith should be the foundation,
Right.
but the work still needs to be done.
Mm,
And I think I always like to break it down like this. It is all, it becomes sacrilegious or idolatrous, so to speak, to use a church word,
mhm.
when you are attributing the power of your healing to something else. All of the good things come from him. That includes therapy. That includes
Coaching.
prayer,
Right. Right.
coaching, all of the
Right.
things. And so as long as we are not attributing our our good to counseling only, or
Right.
to
Right.
whatever only,
Mhm.
then we're in a safe space. And so it should be both, and from my viewpoint.
Yes, you can have both and I think
Yes.
we try to say one or the other, and we can't have both and. So before we dive in just a little bit
Yes.
deeper, I would love people to know your background because little birdie told me that you have some vocals as
Ah.
well. You have some vocals as well, and you have been featured on albums and songs and so forth. So I would love for people to know your background and how did you get to radio? How did you say, you know what, I'm going to be able to serve through radio? So tell us a little bit about your background.
So, you grow up singing in the kids choir and
Uh-huh.
all of the things. And then somewhere along the way, somebody says, oh, you can sing a little solo. And then your family pushes you out there and says, oh, yes, girl,
Go
do
ahead
it,
and
do
sing,
it.
girl. Go ahead and
Um,
sing.
and so, was singing around, I was living in Washington, D.C., in my early 20s, singing with a few people,
Uh-huh.
and then moved to Charlotte and was singing with Pastor John P. Key and his community choir at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ran into some real singers, some for
Okay.
real deal, and
Okay.
realized, oh, okay, that's what they really mean singing. That's really singing. Thankfully, around that time, discovered my love for helping people tell their stories. Started a gospel music website back in the day. It was online magazine, and we built a foundation where record labels, all gospel labels,
Mm-hmm.
no one did a release without gospelflavor.com.
Okay.
From there, kind of developed a lot of relationships, and got a phone call one day to ask if I wanted to do radio. And I kind of said, oh, no, I don't want to do radio.
Uh-huh.
Was in between jobs and decided, well, let me do this for a minute until these people figure out I don't know what I'm doing. And here we are 18, 19 years
And
later.
here you are. Are they still trying to figure out if you don't know what you're doing or not? Or
Shh, don't tell anybody.
no, no,
We're
bye.
gonna,
No, no,
you
no,
know.
no. So here I come. I'm doing a radio spot with you, and I have a previous guest of mine, Dr. Precious Boyle. She spoke about the gospel of emotional intelligence.
Mm,
And I thought it was very interesting to me. She created an ebook, and she also too did workshops in different churches and so forth. But she listen, if you haven't watched that episode, listeners, viewers, go out there and catch that episode. But she talked about how she was equating emotional intelligence today to biblical times. And she would take different verses and say, hey, this was Jesus demonstrating, emotional intelligence through empathy, through compassion,
Right.
and he even displayed anger when he tossed tables, right? So she was doing that. And so when I was asked to come onto the show, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to call Dr. Precious because my background is corporate, and not saying I have a foundation of faith as well, but she really dove deep into the gospel of emotional intelligence, and I never took it that deep in regards to religion, church, and so forth. My thing was, okay, I'm in corporate space. The audience that I have, they go to church. I think majority of them do. Okay, they'll be able to fit this in every aspect of their life. And so I had to sit down and do some research to come to you to say, I need to speak to your audience. And that can be tough for me at times because my experience with Christians is we hide our feelings. We don't talk about our feelings, or we just go to church on Sunday. We give a testimony. We may cry a few tears, and that's it.
Then we put it in a box and go back home.
And go back home. And like I said, we're hurting on the inside, or we feel like we're not supposed to show anger and so forth. So I had to dig deep into that. But you suggested a book.
Yes.
And I said, okay, what's this book? I need to see this book. And it is called, I have it right here, Emotionally Healthy Spirituality by Peter Scazzero. Hoping I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And what I didn't realize, he has a whole series. He has a whole, you did say work, a whole workshop and so forth. But, and my friends, I couldn't get through the first two chapters. I could not get through the first two chapters because I had to keep rereading and stop thinking of people that I could send this book to. So when you first read this book, and you say you hadn't read it in a while, and that's fine, but when you first read this book, what was your first thought in regards to emotions and being spiritually mature? Does that make sense? Is that question?
Yes.
Okay.
So it really gave language to what I have been thinking and hopefully, trying to live out. And the first thing is, for me, having grown up in church, like a lot of us do, like you said, we learn to really, there's no other word for it, but we learn how to compartmentalize and be different people in different spaces. And there are a lot of reasons for that. You can't do this over here. You can't, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And what myself and my husband tried to live out, because you do have to partner if this is your philosophy,
right?
Is we endeavor to be the same person in all of the spaces.
Say that again for the people in the back.
We endeavor to be the same person in all of the spaces.
Right.
And so what that means is you got to find some middle ground with all of your faces. And the most comfortable space, or the space that has the most potential for sustainability is truth. It is truth.
Absolutely.
And so Scazzero's book, basically the premise of it is that you cannot be, or it's very difficult to be spiritually mature without having developed some emotional
maturity. That's
yes.
the part that grabbed me out, that spoke out to me, because you're walking around quoting Bible verses, saying amen, standing up at the right time in church, and looking like you're serving all the people in the church. And when you leave church, you go home, go back into the community, go back to work, your emotions, or your maturity, your level of emotional maturity is in the trash. It's in the trash. And so one of the things that I noticed, one of the pieces in the book that spoke out to me was how emotionally unhealthy spirituality, that they had 10 points in there. And so people are probably listening going, okay, so what are some examples of me being, not mature here?
Yes.
And a couple of them, if you don't mind, if I read a
Sure.
few of them, using God to run from God, ignoring anger, sadness, and fear, dying to the wrong things, denying the impact of the past on the present. And Melanie, that one hit me like no other.
Yes.
Dividing life, just what you spoke about, dividing life into secular and sacred compartments, doing for God instead of being with God, spiritualizing away conflict, covering your brokenness, weakness, and failure, living without limits. And the last one was judging other people's spiritual journey.
Yes.
That one hit me too. Not that
So,
I've judged. I feel like I've been judged
yes.
because of my
Well,
spiritual journey.
and I think, you can go down point by point.
And we could be
And
here all day.
yes.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of those points there, some of those things are understandable. It's difficult to deal with familial trauma, from childhood trauma. It's different, none of us is readily equipped to deal with those things.
Right.
And so when you're natural, when you are not naturally able or equipped to do that, and then you also have something in your ear saying, everything is going to be all right, and and then you might not deal with it. You just might gloss over it.
Keep it under
And
the
I
rug.
think it's a matter of having conversations about it and saying that it is both normal and okay to say, hey, I'm hurt, I'm angry, and I trust God. I'm hurt and I'm angry and I love Jesus. Hey, I'm confused, I don't have any direction, and I'm a Christian. It is okay. Those things do reconcile. Both things can be true at the
Right.
same time. And so, to some extent, it is really just because some people just haven't heard that it's okay.
That it's okay. That
That it's
that
okay.
it's okay.
Yeah.
There's people sometimes that when you speak to them, and let's just say, for instance, we're speaking about the political climate today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating and it angers you and it's every
Yes.
day in your face. And you hear people just simply say, well, just gonna pray about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
go, okay. Okay, but what else are you angry? I'm sitting here going, are you angry? Are you
Right.
upset? And it's like, well, there's no reason to get mad about it. Okay, God's going to take care of it. Or another example of, let's just say on a personal note, you're going through something.
Yeah.
You're going through something. And it just, Melanie would be very quite frank, and it just sucks. It just sucks
Yeah.
what you're going through. And somebody wants to come to you and read a Bible verse or tell you just go pray tonight and be okay, just sleep on it. God
Yeah.
will take care of it and there'd be joy in the morning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I just want to sit in the feelings I have.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just want somebody to be there with you and be mad about it with you too. And let's just sit there and hold hands and let me cry and let me this. It's like I don't want to, go to that. I know God is there.
Yeah.
And I love Jesus. I do. But there are times where you're just angry
You're
about
just angry.
Stuff.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think we can go extremes. There's the extreme, I'm not going to act on anything. I'm not going to try and fix anything. I'm just going to pray about it. Then the other extreme, I don't know if you're familiar with Raquel Hopkins. She's like kind of popped off on Instagram, but she calls herself the capacity
Guru?
council or something.
Okay.
But
Okay.
her theory is that on the other extreme, though we're grateful leaning into mental health, and therapy and all of the things, that on the other extreme, we have pathologized everything.
Mm-hmm.
We have given everything a nice name. And her contention is that what we really all need to be doing is building capacity to handle, to deal with, to
Mm-hmm.
cope, to cry, to scream, and to move on, because that things are not going to stop coming at you.
Right. Right.
Bad things will continue to happen to good people.
Absolutely.
Things are going to happen, but we all do ourselves a better service to build our capacity. And
Yeah.
so where faith comes in for that, for me, is faith is a tool to build that capacity, but it is just one tool.
Mm.
And it is, again, faith is kind of the foundation. And those other things are built on the foundation to help you maintain your footing. And so absolutely, it's like, be angry. It's funny, I didn't understand growing up that everybody, my family is the type of family where, we could argue,
Mm-hmm.
until stuff falls off the walls, and then somebody will say, hey, you want to go get something to eat, and then
Let's
we'll
go.
go get something to eat. Yeah,
Right. Right.
because your your face is not attached to whatever we're arguing about. We're gonna put that on the table, we're gonna go get something to eat, and we'll
We're
figure
hungry.
this out later.
Right.
There are people that don't have that experience, that if we disagree on however trivial it might be, if we disagree, if you don't agree with me, then you're like, we're enemies.
We're
And
done.
yeah, and that's how a lot of people
Yeah.
operate. People function differently. And so how we deal with these things and what
Right.
tools we use are going to be different, but I think the goal should be the capacity
Yes.
to deal with reality, the
I love
things
it.
that are going to attack all of us at some point.
Right. I love it. And you dove right into, with my EQ impact framework,
Yes.
emotional mastery. I call it the toolkit. It's
Mm-hmm.
the toolkit. And just what you said, it helps you grow your capacity to be able to deal with chaos and crisis and whatever storm that's going to come.
Mm-hmm. Because
Because
it's gonna come.
it's going to come. And this is where I tell people, I said, one of my values, I talk to clients, they don't even know their values. So we talk about values, and I share with them that one of my values is peace.
Yeah.
And peace, yes, calmness, yes. But it's not always, it does not mean there won't be chaos and crisis and
Mm-hmm.
conflict that you will have to confront. Okay.
Right.
But my thing is I have the tools. So to your point, faith is the tool, but it's not the only tool. So I have my faith in my toolkit, in my
Mm.
emotional mastery, to help me be able to deal with those storms that come at me. One of the things you did say, our family's the same way. Till the paint fall off the wall. We can argue
Yes.
and fuss and cuss and all that good stuff. But when it's time to eat, let's go,
Let's
right?
go. Right.
Or where are we going for Thanksgiving? For family
Right.
Thanksgiving? It's like,
Right.
it's like bite each other's head off. But anyway, um, but you made a good point in that we should be able to disagree and hear other perspectives and be okay, and be
Yes.
okay with that. But here's what I've learned, and I've posted a couple of times about this, is that people don't like to deal with conflict, or people would say, I don't like being confrontational.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a difference between being confrontational and approaching conflict so you can have a healthy relationship or have healthy conflict. And
Yes.
people think confrontation is like when anybody approaches them about something. Okay, Melanie, I need to talk to you about something about yesterday that you did. I didn't like it. It insulted me, whatever it may be. You feel attacked.
You feel it's attack. That's because people don't feel safe.
You don't feel safe. So
Mm-hmm.
again, that's a good point. So I make sure I'm approaching you in a manner to where you can feel safe, because number one, I'm approaching you because I value the relationship. That's number one. Because if I
Yeah.
don't value the relationship, I will ghost you, piece you out. I'll be gone. I value the relationship. So I'm approaching you. It's not confrontational. It may hurt your feelings a little bit, but also to understand what you did, the impact it had on me as well. We may squabble a little bit, but then we're going to go get something to eat afterwards.
Right. Right.
And that's just it. I think people have these different definitions for safety. They have different definitions for trust, respect, confrontation. because nobody likes conflict. I love when people say, I don't like conflict. Well, who does?
Right.
Maybe one or two people, but
Well,
you know,
kind of, I actually kind of do.
well,
I,
conflict didn't mean we're gonna get somewhere. Like we're
yeah,
gonna get to a solution, right? We're
yeah.
gonna battle this out.
I'm a
So
resolution girly to the
yes.
point that I could be mad uncomfortable about something, but I cannot sit and stew. You remember when your mom would say, wait till your daddy gets home, or
Right.
at 3 o'clock you're gonna get a whooping and make you sit in it. I cannot stand to sit in that.
That
I don't like that.
discomfort, that discomfort.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to resolution, whatever it is. Like, and that's part of that is faith, that I know whatever, however this ends, I'm gonna be okay. But baby, let us get to it. Let's try and get to it the right way. But I am not gonna sit here, which is probably a fault at times. I'm not gonna sit here 8 hours and wait for you to decide to have a conversation. Now, the interesting thing about that, now that I'm saying it out loud, is when my husband and I first got married, he is one who, this is so funny, he has a temper, but I didn't know it. And the reason I didn't know it was because he had developed tools to deal with his temper. And one of his tools was being quiet for a minute. So
Pausing.
he would, yes, pausing. So he would take a moment. And me and my life experiences, I had come out of a relationship where that silence was punishment, where it was, I'm not
Oh,
talking to you.
okay.
And so I'm going, you're going to talk, you're going to talk to me now. And he is like, listen, lady, you would want to let me calm down. And we actually, early in our marriage, we had this conversation, and he shared with me an incident that he remembers from when he was a teenager, where it was his mom. He did something and his mom was like, hey, you better get yourself together and take a minute.
Right.
And he learned, hey, if I take a minute, then I have self-awareness enough to manage this. And it's so funny, like I said, so much so that I didn't know he had a temper. I didn't know, because he had managed it so much. So I'm saying all that to say that self-awareness is a great tool. Awareness about who you are emotionally is a great tool. And from the faith perspective, that self-awareness is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of seeing yourself. I'm going to challenge you too in your book, because you wanted to send that book to people. I challenge you to sit and ask yourself, where are you in those places? And the only reason I can say that to you is because I have to do that for myself. And that if you can see yourself in every situation, it allows you to express empathy, compassion, and move more towards Christ-like love and behavior towards other people. So awareness about who you are, the intention of that is to see yourself and therefore be able to say, yo, that's how I am. I might not be that way in that type of situation, but I'm certainly that way in this other situation. And so let me extend Christ-like compassion and empathy towards this person, rather than maybe going off on them because, that's me in another situation.
You just said a whole word. We about to pass the plate around. We're gonna end it right now. No, no, you're right. And when I was thinking about who to send this book to, I was like, I have to think about intent versus impact. Meaning,
Yeah.
am I sending it just like they need to read this? This is good for that. I got the hedge going.
And sometimes it is that, yes.
Yeah, they can learn a lesson or two. But then I had to think the impact was it. Am I being petty? And am I being petty? But no, I really do think, though, as I sit back and I read more and go, this would help some people that I know, because literally there's people walking around in my life that they so religious, so heavenly bound, no earthly good. And and when you sit back, you go, if that is what being Christ-like looks like, if that is, I don't know, you just deter back from that and go, I don't know if I want that. And that's a lot of reason why the Gen X generation, we're pulling back from going the traditional church, right?
Right.
it was in church every Sunday all day long, Wednesday night Bible study. Now it's like, okay, bedside service. We're going to watch it on, TV and so forth because
because
you
they
don't want to
saw
be
different people. They saw
say that.
different people in different
Right.
forums.
Right.
A lot of people see their parents be one person at the house
Right.
and somebody else at church.
Church.
And so that again, that is what I've tried to do. I've tried to be the same person in all of the spaces,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
try and impact and allow the people around me to do the same thing. And again, it's not that so much that I know something know more or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just it took somebody exhibiting that for me to know that that was a thing, for me to say, oh, so the conflict that I feel, there's a reason that I feel the conflict, because you're trying to be two different people. That is too much work. That is
Exhausting.
too much work. And that does not mean that there's not an appropriateness filter. There's appropriateness filters for everything. You can't wear your your little shorts to work. Like, there are certain
this is what I call behavioral adaptability. You adapt your behavior to certain situations. Like situational leadership as well. You lead based on the situation, you lead based on the person that you're around. The same thing, personal wise. When you're in different situations, you may adjust your behavior, but to your core, you are still the same person. People still recognize that you're Melanie.
Yes.
People still recognize that you're Nicole, not, I don't know who the heck that was.
Who is that?
Yeah, who is that? But to your point, you do see people in church just, I mean, they on the stairway to heaven. They are right there sitting next to Jesus. But then they get out in these streets and they flipping their finger off, cussing at the drivers, cussing on the phone, hollering, yelling at the children in a way that's, not appropriate.
Yeah.
It's just, and you're looking at these people going, who are you? So
and as confused as we are by that. The sad thing is that person is its greatest tragedy. That person is experiencing the most torment from being two people. That person is more confused than we are. That person is hurting more than they are hurting us. It's exhausting to be 5 different people. It is just, and a lot of that comes back to, one of the first things you said is allowing yourself to feel the feels.
Feel the feels.
And one of the tools that I have used for a very, very long time, and I taught it to my daughter, and I've heard her share it with other people, is, and I say it like this: listen, whatever's going on, you got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes to be,
be gangsta about it is what I say. Be
gangsta. Well, then you got to get up and be gangsta. That's the way we said. You can throw a tantrum, you can cry, but in 5 minutes you got to get up and be gangsta and figure out what's next. My husband's mother said it like this. She'd say, "What? So what? Now what?"
Yes, love it.
And so it is, and basically summarizing all of those things is it's okay to be there. It's not okay to stay there. You've got to get up and figure out, and I have to say 5 minutes could be 5 days, depending upon what it is. 5 minutes could actually be 5 weeks, depending on what it is. But the point is that it should be forward motion. You should be moving towards getting up, moving towards healing, moving towards resolution and resolve.
Right. Absolutely. This is where I say the power of the pause. The pause may be 2 seconds, it may be 2 minutes, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years. But you need to pause. You need to take a breath. To me, it's like calm your nervous system down. Okay. And then, like you said, I like how you said, get up and now we're going to be gangsta about this. Yes. But, power of that pause, because now it allows you to be intentional with your words. You can be intentional with your movement. You can be intentional, like I say, putting your emotional intelligence in action, putting it in motion, and being emotionally brilliant, at work, at home, and in the community. This is where I tell the listeners and the viewers, if you, by the end of the day, whether you're at the end of church or at the end of a work day, if you are exhausted and you just don't know why, you need to look at the mask that you're wearing, because that mask is heavy. And that's why you're tired, because you're trying to hold up this persona. You're trying to hold up this mask that you have on, and it's exhausting. And this is why I ask, what makes you feel like you can't be you? That you can't truly be who God wants you to be? Why do you feel like you can't be?
Yeah. And that's one of my most uncomfortable positions. When I find myself that I feel like I'm putting masks on and putting fronts on, that when I tell you that, like, I can't do it. I cannot sustain that. That is one of the hardest things for me. Like, again, I'm a resolution girly. I'm gonna be like, hey, listen, we before we, can we talk about this, because I can't do it. Like, I'm that person, and I'm kind of grateful for that, because I don't sit in things long. But I also know that everybody's not in a situation where they feel safe enough to do that. Everybody doesn't feel equipped to do that, and that's why your framework and these talks are really, really important.
Really important. And I appreciate you being here. Like I said, we need to get a book club going.
Let's go.
Get a book club going. For those that were wondering, what book were you talking about, Nicole? It's Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. It's Impossible to be Spiritually Mature While Remaining Emotionally Mature by Peter Scazzaro. And you can get it on Amazon. And I hope he hears me promoting his book. But no, he has a whole series, workbooks and so forth. But this was the first book that I got. Melanie, thank you so much. Tell the listeners and tell the audience, especially our Charlotte audience, where they can hear you, how they can reach out to you if they need to talk to you some more, but specifically when you're on the air and so forth.
Thank you so much for having me. And I do want to leave people with this. This may sound like it's unrelated, but it's something that I always come back to. And that is that the truth always works. And, sharing the truth, dealing with the truth, having counseling about the truth, talking the truth with your partner, your children, your family. It always works. If nothing else, it gets it off of you. And then you can move towards healing. And again, faith is the foundation of that for me, and counseling, mental health, therapy, those kinds of things. Those are tools to add on top of it. And it is integration, not separation, when it comes to faith and getting to the core of things emotionally.
Absolutely. And I want to say, truth, it will piss you off at first.
Yes.
Off at first,
or hurt you,
but it will set you free. And one of the things I want people to hear again that you said is, faith is the tool to build capacity, but it is not the only tool. And as you heard Melanie say, therapy, coaching, whatever the support you need to be able to speak your truth. Because as Melanie said, she loves sharing people's stories or helping people share their stories. So your truth is your story. So you need to share that. Melanie, thank you again. So how can people find you?
I am on Monday through Friday on Praise 100.9. That is praisecharlotte.com if you want to listen online. Our mobile app is Praise Charlotte as well. And you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Melanie Who, the number one. And I'd love to connect with you. I am Team Jesus all the way. And I am grateful for all of the ways that he has made to help us heal and be whole.
Yes. And I am very grateful that he brought us together.
Likewise.
That you are now in the circle, and I love it.
Yay.
I will have all of Melanie's information, of course, in my podcast description. So I don't ever want to hear anybody say you can't find my guests, because I put all their information in the description. Listen, Melanie, thank you so much for being here. And like I said, we need to start a book club, because if not, we could probably talk a whole another hour, 2 hours. And yes, and you hear why you see why she's on the radio. Very calming, very calming. I could talk to you all day. Everyone, thank you so much for being here and listening to Blow Your Mindset podcast. I am your host, the Nicole F. Smith. And until next time, please be emotionally brilliant at home, at work, and in the community. See you next time.
Wow. I hope you took some good notes. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Blow Your Mindset podcast, where we are challenging your perspective. We're redefining your mindset. We're sparking your curiosity and maximizing your EQ. Make sure you follow our guest. All their contact information is in the description. Of course, follow me, Nicole Smith. Subscribe so you know when new episodes drop. All my contact information is on the screen if you're watching via YouTube or in the podcast description. Hope to hear from you soon. I want to hear from you soon. And continue being emotionally brilliant every day. Signing off. Until next time, Nicole Smith.